Hi, my name is Sabri and I came in on a rose beam. I have a microphone. We're trying it out. We're testing it out. Hopefully it works. Do I look legitimate? Today, in terms of wrapping up my 2021 reading, I don't think I like where this is at. Hold on, sorry. In terms of wrapping up my 2021 reading, I read some really good books this year, and I read some books that were not so good. As far as I don't know, this year felt really mid, even though, let's see, my average rating was 4. And I read 50 books this year. So my average rating for the books that I read was, in fact, 4 stars. However, it just felt very middle of the road. So I don't really want to talk about my favorites right now, or maybe I will in a little bit. I don't know. But right now, I want to talk about my least favorite. And instead of doing a list and a rant, I figured, why not something that will inspire a rant? So I'm going to read positive 5-star Goodreads reviews of the books that I hated this year. Let's get started, shall we? So first, the books that I did not rate. I'm looking at my story graph because that's what I used. One of these I hated, one of these I liked. So It Ends With Us, Colleen Hoover. Let's get to it. Now, I mentioned It Ends With Us in my last wrap-up of the year. My last wrap-up of the year, which was my September wrap-up. I didn't like the way... Okay, so first off, this video is going to be spoilers for everything. So we're talking about It Ends With Us. So spoilers for It Ends With Us. I didn't like the way the book handled abuse. I didn't like it. It made me feel really icky. I feel like it didn't send a clear enough message, and the message that it did send was very muddy. You know? I didn't like it. Anyway, people love this book. So, the first one we come up on is 5 stars. Yay! Let's see. Holy wow! It Ends With Us is one of the most powerful books of 2016 and one of the most raw, honest, inspiring, and profoundly beautiful stories I've ever read. Yikes. It wasn't anything like what I expected, but it delivered so much more than I ever hoped for. This is the kind of book that I want to give to every woman and just be like, read this book now. Don't do that. Don't do that. Come to think of it, all the men should read it too. Everyone should read this book. Absolutely everyone. It's a story of unshakable love and finding the strength to make the right choice in the hardest situation. See, I don't agree with that. A lot of people say that this story is about enduring love, and I think that really skews the message of the story, and I don't like that was really included in the first place. It's kind of like, what is this even supposed to be about? Because is it a story about abuse or is it a romance? And some people might say, it can be both. Not really. I don't think it can properly be both. Or maybe it can, and this book just does it really poorly, because the romance doesn't really, in spite of this abuse or whatever, it kind of distracts from it. And, in some points, I liked it. It's good to have someone who is on your side, who is willing to protect you in these kinds of situations. However, the way that it was written kind of just makes it come off like it's a love triangle, but it's not a proper love triangle because she's being abused by one of the parts of the triangle. Does that make sense? It's not a proper triangle. It's a hostage situation. Unshakable love. I don't know. This book is unputdownable. You'll notice as you read that there are no good stopping points. None at all. I began reading it late at night, and every time I tried to put it down to go to sleep, I just had to get back up and keep reading because I couldn't stop thinking about it. I didn't finish until almost 5 a.m., but my gosh, was it ever worth it. Of all the heroines I've ever read, Lily was most certainly one of the ones I admired the most. I knew I loved her from the first few pages, but having finished the book, I truly couldn't be prouder of her. Her strength and conviction over the course of the story made her into a heroine I'd want every girl and woman to read about and look up to. No shade to Lily, because girl went through a lot. I wasn't a fan. I mean, she's great. I am proud of her because she made like a really hard choice, decision. She survived. She is a survivor. However, the way she was written is also kind of shallow. So she wasn't a very deep well, if that makes sense. At least not to me. We're about the same age. I've also been through some of the things that she's been through. The writing itself was all just kind of shallow. And so because of that, I didn't feel like a strong connection to her. While I was reading it, you know, like I felt for her and I empathized and I wanted the best for her. But like afterward, I'm just like, also this has nothing to do with like the premise of the story. But can we talk about her idea for her flower shop? And this is the pettiest thing in the world. But I was reading it and they were like, what's the opposite of like what they think a flower shop should be? And it was just like edgy, goth kind of flower shop. And I was like, guys, this is not a good idea. Like, not that it's a bad idea, but the way they were describing it was just kind of stupid and very shallow. And I was like, guys, we could do better than this. They're like black roses and crushed velvet and chains. And I was like, that's it? That's the revolutionary idea? That's the revolutionary idea? At least it was successful. Go ahead, girl. Get that investment money. This is making me sound incredibly jaded. I did not like this book. There's an incredibly powerful message in this book that is very subtly woven in from the start. It really is not subtle. It begins in the first chapter, but you don't realize how significant each of these moments truly are. Well, I did. But that's the trauma, baby. From the first page, what they're talking about is like the red flags for Ryle when we first meet him. I picked up on it because the first time I didn't know what the story was about when I read it. I just knew that it was like emotional. I didn't know that it was about domestic abuse. But from the first moment we met Ryle, I was like, ugh, he's the romantic lead. I don't like him. He's scary and violent. So it's not subtle. No, Ryle is a walking red flag. And I'm not saying that everyone should be able to recognize red flags right off the bat because unfortunately you don't know until you know, right? You don't learn that until you've experienced something that makes you realize that's a red flag. However, for me, even if it wasn't a red flag, it was very unattractive. It was very unattractive. And so like I didn't even like root for the relationship in the first place to be devastated. I was devastated for Lily because, like, who wants to go through that? But, like, I wasn't like, oh, my God, this relationship, it's gone. I was like, damn. Anyway, the fact that it's unexpected for you as the reader is very important because it's also unexpected for the heroine. And like I said, was not the target audience for this book because it was not unexpected for me because I could see it coming. I could. So this book wasn't going to have an impact on me. In fact, this is a book that I didn't rate. This has no rating. I didn't rate it. I'm like, I was the wrong girl for this. I really was. The only thing I want to address head on is the question of the love triangle, because a few of you have read the blurb and have asked about it. All I want to say is please try and move away from that thought. Absolutely. I don't want to spoil the plot at all, but that is not what this book is about. Exactly. That's another bad thing about this book is the way that it's marketed. Like, please don't market this as a romance, a love triangle book, a tragic romance. None of that. No romance. Just I feel like a bully. Oh my God. Have you guys heard that they're making this into a movie? I don't want to watch that. I probably will because I'm a glutton for punishment, but I'm not going to pay for it. To me, the story is, and I know this is based off of the author's experiences, and I don't want to rag on her experiences because like I can see the potential. I see the potential. It's just that the writing style itself, the execution was not as deep as I felt like it needed to be to really have a proper impact on me. It has an impact on people who, in my opinion, have not really had this experience. But for me, it wasn't for me. But also, I know that once this book gets like adapted, oh no, the romanticization of the relationship and of Ryle are going to go through the roof if they get like an attractive man to play him, because they're going to, because he's an attractive, rich, young man. So I just know that once that even starts. Anyway, moving on. Let's go to a book that I rated 1 star, From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This book was quite bad. It was quite bad. And again, I read it because a lot of people loved it. Okay. I just had to scroll through 3 1-star reviews, and now we got a 5-star review. Here we go. Holy shit. I almost DNF'd this at 16%. I was bored. There were info dumps everywhere. The narrator was blah. The plot wasn't moving. Goodness, even the time in this book wasn't moving. Pretty sure at 16%, not even 24 hours had passed in the book world. I told myself I would jump ship if it didn't improve by the 20% mark. All of these things are correct, but it did not improve by the 20% mark, because I initially DNF'd it at the 24% mark, and then I skimmed the rest of the book. Damn, did it improve. Hold on, I'm getting a blanket. My feet are cold. Let the roast continue. Damn, did it improve. I've never been so glad I didn't jump ship. Okay, that's a lie. I was also really glad I didn't jump ship during season 5 of The Vampire Diaries. My only claim to fame of The Vampire Diaries is Jenny Nicholson's complete breakdown of The Vampire Diaries. It's a great video. I highly recommend it. I should rewatch it, actually. Suddenly, there was dialogue, and not just dialogue, witty banter. The narrator showed she was a badass. There was a male lead who did something other than be gorgeous. Did he? The villains started to make their presence known in despicable ways that made my blood boil. We had side characters who were super likable. We had a slow burn romance that didn't feel forced. I'll be honest, witty banter alone will keep me reading, but then literally all of the other tropes I adore showed up, and I was just, I don't know, like, for the rest of the book, it's a string of emojis I'm trying to... I finished about 5 minutes ago, so I'm not even sure I'm typing coherent sentences right now. The book is that good. Child, I wish I had your brain. Just push through the boring beginning. You can do it. I pushed through, and child, I want my time back. I'm glad I didn't purchase this book, to be honest. Okay, here's another one. Living in these crazy times, I was pretty certain nothing could surprise me anymore. But then JLA pulls a Beyonce. They're not comparing her to Beyonce, they're just using the reference, but it's hilarious either way to see this book and Beyonce mentioned in the same sentence.
Oh my God, are you fucking insane? Beyonce? You know what you...
Drops his book out of nowhere as if it were a gift delivered from the book gods themselves. And this story is truly a gift that keeps on giving. Well, yes, it is. There is a strong, fierce heroine and her swoon-worthy personal guard. This man is not swoon-worthy. He's quite unattractive. Ugh. Which leads to some pretty smoldering romance. But love isn't the only emotion. I'm sorry, that's funny. But love isn't the only emotion. This story is overflowing with bravery, suspense, loyalty, curiosity, vengeance, and friendship. The detailed world building. That's a lie. What? The detailed world building? There was no world building, like at all. Some people just get on the internet and lie. This is fun. I tried to do this with like my 5-star reviews and like 1-star reviews of those. That was not fun. People were like coming for me, and so I'm not even going to upload that because it just did not feel fun anymore. And plus, sometimes 1-star reviews are racist. That was not fun. That was not fun at all. The detailed world building presents a new, unique view of old, familiar fantasy creatures. Many plot points are predictable, but not in a way that is disappointing, but rather makes the reader feel clever for catching all the hints and signs along the way. In essence, this story has everything. There were some moments when I thought the everythingness of this story would be too much. The world building is often given in info dumps, and I will be completely honest and say I still don't understand everything about the world. So then how can you say that it's detailed world building if you don't understand? Quickly, about the world, its history, and its people, but that definitely didn't stop me from loving the story or enjoying the wild ride. This book has truly blessed my quarantine, and I hope it does the same for you. Well, it did something. 5 addictive, mesmerizing, heart-rending, sexy, adrenaline-inducing stars right away. Ooh, girl, I'm so glad you had a fun time. You had a fun time. Ever had the feeling of numbness, the feeling of having your heart break and then remade, and the feeling of intensity flooding your body cells? Yeah, that was me during and after reading this book. Must be nice. I'm trying to get like you, my boy. There is action and violence, passion and romance, friendship and betrayal. It is the tale about a world where anguish leaves no room for light, where the ascended wield their power like a poison-tipped sword in a kingdom that is forsaken by the gods and feared by mortals. You making this sound really appealing. Penelope, yes, Penelope, aka Poppy, aka Princess, aka the Maiden, is never to be touched. She is forbidden to socialize, to celebrate her birthdays, to go to picnics, to defend herself because she's the Maiden. She cannot live or experience anything she wants for herself without being reminded about her duty to the gods. She doesn't have the privileges everyone around her has, but she does exactly the opposite of what she's supposed to do, and that makes her sassier than any female protagonist I've read about. I hate the descriptor sassy, especially for like strong female characters. Oh, she's so sassy. Hold on, did I write about this? Because this is hilarious. Let's go to Instagram, shall we? What I'm pretty sure I said about this is I hated that how sassy was like her only personality trait, and she didn't have anything to back it up. If I can find it, I'll insert it because that's hilarious. She does what she deems fit, consequences be damned, and things escalate when she meets the very attractive royal guard Hawk Flynn. You want to be Flynn Rider so bad. She's strong, she's fierce, but that's not all. Poppy, despite enduring losses of people she's loved dearly, walks with an air of confidence that makes you respect her amongst many other things. I love the fact that she doesn't whine about her survivor's guilt and chooses to be better equipped and trained rather than be a liability in times of duress. That's messed up, but okay. Her emotional tolerance and her ability to take her shortcomings positively makes me want to hug her. I'm pretty sure I'd get stabbed before I think about it. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but okay. Is that his full name? Castile Hawkthorne Denier? Hawkthorne? Awful. Jail. Okay, Hawk. Of course I'm going to start with him. He's the character you'll immediately love and adore. Incorrect. I hated him from the first moment I saw him. You know why? Because he doesn't take no for an answer and doesn't understand the meaning of consent. The first physical, sexual scene between these two characters is coerced. It's not even just coerced. It's there's no consent. There's explicitly a stop, and he just keeps going. And also, he doesn't even know who she is. It's really weird. And I'm like, how are we starting like this? Get off her. Get away from her. Get a job. Just a thought. Anyway, so no, I will not immediately love and adore him. He's fast, observant, protective. And if I have to steal his word, intriguing. He's really not. He's just mouthy. He's considerate, then demanding. Teasing and then cold as looming death. That's not cute. Violent beyond imagination, but extremely tender and benign. Benign? He is the kind of boyfriend everybody hopes and deserves to have. Not me. No, stay away from me. Thank you. But girl, you really enjoyed yourself, and to be honest, you should have wrote this book. She should have wrote this book. Already is she's selling it. Way more interesting. He can ignore discussions about the safety of his kingdom and other political issues just to make sure whether or not you've touched your breakfast. That's a little obsessive if you ask me. He will kill anyone who says something even remotely bad about you. He has infinite bae traits, and he is made up of so many layers in terms of his character complex that you'd want to unearth him and explore him deftly. Oh, and did I mention he has dimples? There's nothing more important than the dimples. He will kill anyone who says anything even remotely bad about you. Look at those dimples. He is teasing and then cold as looming death. But have you seen the dimples? He can ignore discussions about the safety of his kingdom to make sure you've touched your breakfast. Would you like a side of dimples with that? Romance. Electric and tantalizing. It is perfect for the fans of ACOTAR, probably. A combination of sweet and steamy moments as Poppy embraces her sexuality. Hawk doesn't try to hide the fact that he's drawn to Poppy and flirts openly, and they share an appealing banter. Harassment is what you'd actually call that in real life. Harassment. This is making me seem like a very boring person, but I'm not. Yeah, okay, girl. You write a book, because I'll read that, no matter what the subject matter is. What's next? So we have Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. Okay, there's a 1-star review, but I'm going to read that later, because that looks like fun. Okay. Ooh, Sasha Alsberg. There we go. Have any of you guys heard from Sasha in a while? She's publishing a new book, isn't she? I felt like this book came out of nowhere and took everyone by surprise. I'm truly astonished. Stalking Jack the Ripper is narrated by Audrey Rose, a 17-year-old girl who comes from an affluent family during the late 1880s. Despite the expectations suited for her by society and her father, Audrey Rose defies their regulations by sneaking away to her uncle's laboratory to study forensic medicine. When an investigation breaks out concerning Jack the Ripper, Audrey Rose gets into it and finds out that the theories she's deducing are a little too close for comfort. So that's like one of my main issues with this. It was very white feminist. And when I say white feminist, I don't mean like specifically white. I just mean it's feminism without any intersection. As in, she was very much like, I'm not like other girls. I like to cut up dead bodies. It was very reductive, and I thought we'd moved past this. Yes, this book was published a few years back, but still, we were already having those kinds of conversations about the not like other girls trope. So it surprised me that this stemmed so heavily on that. That was unenjoyable to me as a modern girl in this day and age, and also as an adult. I entered this book with no background knowledge whatsoever. Oh, that's where I talked about it. Hold on, let me go back to my Instagram page, because that's where I talked about the sassy thing. This is it. One thing I learned from this book: I don't really like a character who is both spunky and naive. Not to be an anti-feminist, but when a female character is super mouthy and spunky and sassy in the name of feminism, and those traits get her in a situation where she then has to rely on or be saved by the men around her, is a little to me. Mostly, I find it annoying because get some street smarts, girl. Stop thinking you can rule the planet when you can't run the block. Not to be anti-feminist, of course. That's obviously a joke. Stop thinking you can rule the planet when you can't run the block. That's yes. Yes. And for that, I'll probably say that Poppy in From Blood and Ash is more capable. But how is that your only personality trait? Is that you're sassy? So that's what I don't like, you know? In the name of feminism, we don't have to denigrate and berate and put others down just to be saved by men the next page. That's not very feminist of you. Pick yourself up. Pick yourself up. I entered this book with no background knowledge whatsoever, and I have to say that I'm utterly impressed at the turnout. The book is mysterious, charming, and especially witty. I absolutely adored the fact that the mystery was perplexing. As the reader tries to piece together the evidence to uncover the fiend, they begin to notice that there are too many characters who fit the description. Audrey Rose is a delight of a main character. She's witty, intelligent, feminine, and fierce. She doesn't think of herself as feminine, but whatever. Thomas Cresswell is the absolute perfect companion for our heroine. He's absolutely hilarious, riling up Audrey in the most charming of ways. They are really freaking adorable together. I loved the historicness of this book. It just made it all the more fascinating and enjoyable to me. So, and I say this with a sigh, I unfortunately did not solve the mystery before it was revealed. Neither did I, because I felt like it was kind of out of left field. It was kind of ridiculous, but whatever. Sure, I had my doubts about each character, but I just couldn't piece it together that last bit. But damn, was it awesome to try and figure out the culprit along the way. Oh, ciao. This was fun. We should do this again. Thanks for going on this journey with me. Thanks for testing out my new microphone with me. I hope this audio track is not trash. And if it is, then we'll just ignore it. And I will see you guys next time. Please leave a like if you like this video. Oh my God, it's been so long. Leave a like if you like this video. Put a comment and tell me what your least favorite books of 2021 were. And I will see you guys next time. Bye. Ego crush is so severe, God. It's brutal out here. Da 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 da. It's kind of like, so what is this even supposed to be? What?